Hello to our family and friends. Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody.
It's not quite 5:30, but we are on because I wanted to see if I could tag some people with the video. So give us just a second. Hi, Nikki. How you doing? Hi, Maurice Williams. Thank you for watching.
Hello.
How are you both tonight? Hope everything is well in your world. Okay, we're over here. Fine. Which means I need to mute. I'm going to tag a person or two, and then I will be right back.
Nicole, how are you? Good to have you back.
Well, I haven't figured that whole thing out yet. That's what that's telling me.
All right, come on in. Come on in.
Yes. Hi, Cecile. How are you?
Everybody,
Hi, Rosetta. How are you?
like and share. Hey, sis.
Good to have you all joining us. And as you all who are with us on a weekly basis see, we're making some additions to the studio.
Yeah, we're trying to look all professional and
We're
everything.
making some additions.
Right.
Absolutely. Hi, Arthur. How are you? Thank you for
Arthur,
joining.
how are you?
Welcome back this week, sir. Oops. Well, I did not see. So we're going to go ahead and get started tonight.
Yeah, let's do that.
I was hoping to see my brother. I was trying to tag him, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. That's another day's training for me. Before our shout out tonight, we try to shout someone out who is out there making things happen, doing it on 100, or someone who means something dear to us.
Yes.
And so tonight we wanna go back and shout out our bishop and our first lady, our mother, our father and mother in the gospel, Bishop Henry Joyner and
Pastor Carolyn
Joyner. We want to shout you two out tonight, and basically just to say thank you, because for 20 plus years, we were being fed some wonderful spiritual meat at your table, and we would not be the people that we are today were it not for the two of you, and we are very, very, very grateful, for all of the sacrifices that you poured into us, and how you helped to shape the relationship that we have now. And everywhere that we go, nowhere that we go are we hearing anything really, really new as it relates to the gospel and biblical principles, because we learned all of those things sitting at your table.
The Word. We learned the Word of God, and we watched the Word of God in action.
Exactly.
In those two.
Exactly.
That's what makes it so powerful with what my wife doing. From Bishop Joyner, I learned not to be intimidated by what your wife does. Pastor Carolyn is a powerful, powerful woman of God.
Yes.
Just like the bishop is, and together they are explosive. I mean, just totally explosive.
Dynamic duo.
But I wanted him to know that he's taught me a valuable lesson, and that is not to be intimidated, but to push your wife to be the best that you can be. If she does that, then she makes you look good. And I thank you, baby, because if it wasn't for you, I'd be a mess. She makes me look good.
Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you so much. And just having your support, means the world to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it means the world to me.
So we wanted to take this opportunity to publicly say thank you to Bishop Joyner and Sister Carolyn Joyner, Pastor Joyner. We thank you so much. And just a further shout out to my brother, Pastor Lee Joyner.
Yes.
If you get a chance, you're down in D.C., check out the ministry down there. Impact
Impact
Ministry is doing
Marvelous thing.
marvelous things. Check them out if you get a chance. You can look them up on Facebook. That's Impact in D.C.
Yeah, Impact DMV.
Impact DMV. Check them out. They're doing some wonderful and marvelous things down
Absolutely. Hi, Raymond. Thank you so much for watching. All right, so we're going to jump into our discussion for today. Trust and follow the process is the overarching topic that we started. And each week I feel that it's useful to give a bit of history on how we came to this motivational series that we've been talking about. We began this dialogue several weeks ago. Excuse me. I'm coming off a little bit of a cold or nasal situation, so excuse me for that. But we began this dialogue several weeks ago as a result of an experience that I had that was a little traumatic for me. It was an emotional day for me, and my husband's words of encouragement and comfort, that turned my entire state of being back to being the positive, faith-filled person that I typically am. Hi, Michaela. Thank you so much for watching. I was just watching your video a few minutes ago. His message of hope and deliverance that day centered around the trust and follow the process. Hi, Benita Bryant. Thank you so much for watching.
Hey, Benita, my little sister.
Yeah,
how you doing?
Good to see y'all on tonight. And from trust and follow the process, his encouragement for me that day ended with an acrostic for the word process. Hulu Mitchell is watching. Thank you so much for watching. That acrostic for process is purpose, resilience, obedience, courage, endurance, stretching, and strengthening. Okay? Strengthened. That is the acrostic from that my husband was given as it relates to process. So we've taken that acrostic and we've talked about each of the words so far. And today we land on the word courage.
Courage. Wow.
Okay. So we tie these words back to the original acrostic, which is process. And it falls down to our topic. Hi, Andre. Thank you so much for watching. It falls back down to our topic, which is follow the process as we seek for and live in our purpose. It's all about purpose. So last week's discussion was on obedience, and it was another phenomenal discussion. And I'm so excited about today's discussion, which is courage. Now, my husband did this Facebook post earlier introducing what we're going to be talking about tonight. And he said, yes, courage. We have been digging into process. And tonight we will find out why courage sits right in the middle of your process. Not at the beginning, not at the end, but in the middle of your process. And he said, somebody is about to give up. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's all going to make sense real soon. So with that, I'm going to toss it over to my husband to get started.
Listen, hello again, and give us the hearts and give us the likes so we know you're there. This is so exciting.
Yeah.
This topic is blowing my mind. I was looking at courage today, and then I was looking at the acrostic that we did, and it was strange. The Lord revealed to me, why is courage in the middle of the word process?
Yeah.
Why did I give you that word courage right there in the middle? Well, let me start by saying this. Listen, it takes courage to be you.
Just to be you.
Listen, let me say that again. It takes courage just to be you. There will never, ever be another you.
That's right.
I don't care what it seems like or there will never, ever be another you.
That's right.
There are people who might do similar to you. They might have your similar purpose. But there will never, ever be another you on this earth.
Hi, Teresa.
God placed us and he made us unique. Let me tell you how unique you are.
Just how unique.
Let me say how unique you are. You are so unique that your fingerprint will never show up on this earth again. Once you're gone, the fingerprint is the individuality to every person.
That's right.
Law enforcement use it. Identification is used for identification. Why? Because there's not two similar fingerprints on this, and two fingerprints that are alike on this earth.
Right.
You have a unique fingerprint, and there never was, and there never will be another you. There would never be another fingerprint on this earth like yours.
Right.
So what we must look at is it takes courage to be,
Just to be you.
listen to me, authentically you.
Authentically you.
Somebody got to give me some heart so I know that I'm saying something to somebody.
Yeah.
Listen, courage. It takes courage to be authentically you. We spend a lot of time trying to emulate people. We
Right.
spend a lot of time trying to do what we saw done or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be.
Right.
But listen, when you find your purpose and God give you
Oh,
your
my
purpose,
goodness.
it is uniquely
It is
you.
uniquely you.
So therefore, you can't copy it.
It is authentically you.
You cannot copy it. You cannot assimilate a person enough within yourself to be you.
Right.
You can only assimilate who you are. So who God said you are is who he made you uniquely inside, just like your fingerprint. It takes courage to be you.
Exactly.
Because you stands out.
Exactly.
If a lot of people look at their self-worth, they look at their self-worth and compare themselves to others. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Take the courage, get courage, and
Yes.
do what you do, regardless of how many people doing it. I do not care how
Exactly.
many people doing it. It could be the rest of the world doing it. Nobody can do it like you do.
Exactly. Because what you bring to the table is your experience.
Yes.
What you bring to the table is it from your perspective, how you see things.
Right.
So no one else is going to say exactly what you say, the way you say it.
As I said in the post, listen, somebody out there is about to give up. The reason why you're trying to give up is because you spent your life trying to emulate somebody.
Somebody else. Yeah.
And you feel frustrated because you're not being you. The most comfortable place in this world is
my
being
God.
you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I would love to be T.D. Jakes, but
You
it would
don't have
take
to.
too much for me to try to spend my life emulating him. Therefore, what God has
that
given
up.
to me,
Hi,
I have to
Isabel.
use what God has given to me. Whatever spirit he gives me, I have to respect that.
Yeah.
I have to enjoy that when I know that who God made me to
Yes,
be.
that's right.
Whoever God made me to be, you cannot do it. If God called you to do something, nobody else can do
Nobody
it.
else can do it.
Somebody can do something similar too.
Right.
Somebody could even take your place if you refuse to take up the
Right,
courage and do it. But they will not do it the way you
The
do
way
it.
you do it.
And the way God designed you to do
Yes,
it.
your
Our
expression
thing,
will not be on it.
as we go through, we went through this thing, and when you talk about purpose,
Right.
we started off with purpose. Purpose might be related to others, but you being the purpose,
Only you can bring.
only you can bring you and the purpose.
Exactly.
I mean, you can have purpose, you can find purpose, but when you add the you to it, it makes a difference. That's who
Exactly.
God made you to be.
Exactly.
Therefore, in purpose, when we talked to the first thing that we talked about was the P
Hi,
in
Crystal.
process.
Thank you
The
for
P in
watching.
process was to find your purpose.
Exactly.
And
That's
if
the
you
purpose.
find your purpose,
Yes.
you bring the you to your purpose.
Exactly.
And it's exclusively you.
Exclusively.
And then
you.
we went to the R and we talked about resilience. In resilience, people have went through what you went through.
Right.
Some people have been scarred by some of the same issues that you have been scarred by.
Right.
Some people have went through the same thing you went through. But let me tell you something, their resilience is still not your resilience.
yours.
Because after you go through, we learn personal lessons by what we go through. What we go through, we have to take up courage then.
Absolutely.
Courage then to go on. Resilience, as we discussed, is the ability to come back from deformation. There are some things that deformed us in our life.
My goodness.
There's some things that have bent us and
Yeah.
twisted us
Shaped
and
us.
meant to leave us broken.
Undone.
And meant to leave us undone.
Yeah.
But guess what? Your resilience that God has placed inside you allowed you bounce back.
To bounce back.
Briefly, when we talked about resilience, my niece put up on there that toy that was called the Weeble that wobbles, but it don't fall down. Resilience say that you can be punched, you can be knocked out, but guess what? As soon as they get up off you, you're going to bounce back.
Exactly.
That was the resilience, and then we moved over into obedience. It takes courage to be resilient.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
takes courage to move on after somebody has tried to deform you and
Right.
tried to bring you back and tear you down. It takes courage
Right.
to come back from that. After we left courage, of course, we went to obedience. Everybody got scared of that.
Ooh,
Obedience.
ooh,
Yeah.
the O
But,
word.
but as I explained to you then, I'm not talking about obedience in the manner of slavery. I'm not talking about obedience in the manner of dominance and being dominated over.
Right.
I'm talking about obedience that's going to lead you to your purpose.
Right.
So there are those who have authority or that you have given authority to lead in your life that's going to bring you to a point where you start obeying
Right.
what needs to be done to get the fruits of the obedience. Obedience produces fruit,
Exactly.
and it produces good fruit. But guess what? Our fruits are not the same. God may call me to be obedient to something and call you to be obedient to the same thing. But because I'm a little harder in hearing it the first time, you might reap your rewards before me.
Before, right.
Because I might be obedient, but sometimes it's a delay. That's just a nature in some people. We got to hear things the second time and the third time. And as my mother say, you know, you heard what I said. I say, huh? And we say to God when God tell us to be obedient to certain things. The first thing we say is, huh?
Huh?
My mother said, if you said, huh, you heard me.
Okay.
So there it is, obedience, which brings us to the middle of this word process.
Right, to the middle.
It brings us right to courage.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
My
What
goodness.
is courage?
Yeah.
Courage, first of all, is a decision. Courage is not something that just happens.
Right.
Courage is a decision.
You are
The
quite
reason why
intentional.
courage is a decision, listen, in the Bible it makes it plain. Every time you hear it talks about courage, it says put on courage. It says take courage.
Yeah.
It did not say I'm going to give you courage. Courage is a decision
Be of
to
good-
face
that's
your
right.
fears.
Yeah, exactly.
A decision
A
to
decision.
face your fears. Chris made a decision to come on Facebook Live
And it was a fear.
after being totally afraid, but
It
her
was a
decision was that, you know what? In spite of what I'm believing, I'm going to go ahead and do
gonna
this.
do this.
I'm going to turn the camera on, and when it hit, whatever comes, that's what comes. And here we are at midweek motivation.
Yeah.
So when we
Over
talk
a year.
courage, put on courage, take courage. The definition of courage is a mental and moral strength to venture,
Right. Persevere.
persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty.
Yes.
Did you hear that? Listen, a lot of you have been moving in courage and didn't even know it. Because a lot of things we are afraid of, a lot of things we do. But listen, don't get it twisted.
Right.
A lot of us are afraid to move out, and I do understand that. The unknown is a terrible thing.
Yeah, it's a fearful
That's
place.
why a lot of us don't want to die.
Exactly.
We ain't sure what's going to happen. I'm sure what's going to
Hi,
happen
Ingrid.
when I go. But a lot of us, the reason death scares us so bad is because we don't know what the other side is
It's
going to
gonna
be.
be about, right.
I trust God.
Right. Hi,
I
Grace.
trust God. So therefore, I don't have that fear of death, but it's still unknown.
It's still unknown.
So I don't know. But let me tell you something. Taking courage, don't be afraid of courage because courage and fear are actually brothers. Come on, you say courage and fear are actually brothers. It's found in Proverbs. Courage and fear are actually brothers to each other. We don't get courage unless we're afraid of something. It don't take courage to do what you know. It don't take courage to do what you're comfortable with and
Right.
what you've already been doing. It doesn't take no courage to do that.
Exactly.
You get up and you do it.
Hi, Denise Fawcett.
You go to work every single day. Some of you have been on your job 20, 30 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be. You're familiar with it. You don't necessarily fear getting up and going to your job.
Right.
You just go and do it. But do you remember the first day of your job? Not knowing what was going to happen. You walk into that place
whole
doing what you're
unknown
doing.
part of it.
Listen, look around now today. It's done shifted. 20 years have gone by.
Right.
You know that job inside and out. It don't take courage to go to that job no more. Courage. There are 6 attributes. 6 of them
6 attributes that we're going to talk about tonight.
that we're going to talk about real quick.
Yes, the first one, feeling fear yet choosing to act. Feeling fear.
Feeling fear. The
Yes.
brother of courage. In other
Choosing to
words,
act.
the brother of courage comes in
Right.
and he's fear.
Right.
And you see something that you're not familiar with, that's not familiar to you. So what do? You step back and you have to make a decision. Will I move forward with this, being afraid? Will I? But listen, courage is doing it afraid. Courage is doing it afraid.
Doing it afraid.
Listen, Nelson Mandela said this. I learned that courage was the absence was not the absence of fear,
Yeah.
but the triumph over it.
Yes.
A brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear.
Quote from Nelson Mandela.
That's a quote from Nelson Mandela.
How
It's
can you
not
name?
that you don't feel afraid,
I
it's
can see
that
that.
you conquer that fear that you're feeling.
By doing it.
So, feeling, the feeling of fear, yet choosing to act. In relation to that, when we talk, I used to be a police officer, and I received several awards, life rescue awards and things like that. One particular time, I went into a building that was on fire and got the people next door and everybody out of there. I left there and walked away, didn't thinking nobody really paid attention. But one thing that I knew when I saw that, I said, there's a possibility that if I go in this building,
Right.
that I could get trapped in this building and I could die.
That was a possibility.
That was a fear.
Yep.
But then I heard a sound that says somebody's in there. So I had to then choose to act, and I chose against my fear because I decided that somebody needed help.
Exactly.
So I ran into there to be help. Listen, don't call me hero. That's not about hero. A hero is only a hero 5 minutes longer than a normal person.
Oh my.
Because everybody comes to a time where you have to make a decision as to what you're going to do. Sometimes what you have to make a decision on and gets the courage to do could cost somebody's life.
Exactly.
Listen, I said today, somebody on here was about to give up.
Yeah.
I just had a feeling that somebody here had said, I've had enough. I'm afraid of the next step.
Yeah.
Listen, we're here to tell you, take courage.
Take courage.
The feeling of fear. And then yet choosing to act. You afraid, do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Whatever God called you to do it afraid.
afraid.
Whatever your purpose is, do it, but do it afraid.
Absolutely.
Go ahead to the next one.
Absolutely. Following your heart. Well, let's back up. Let me just say this about doing it afraid and feeling the fear yet choosing to act. There have been several things in life that you can think of right now that when you were coming up to it, you were afraid to do it.
Right.
Several things. If you just think for a short period of time. But when you look back on that thing, you realize that you actually did it, even though you were afraid. You actually did it. That thing, that fear was coming upon you, trying to stop you from doing that one thing that was going to build you up for that next thing. It's like steps that, fear tries to make you to cower back from, as opposed to taking the launch and doing those things. Just if I think about just trying, when I was writing my book, I was very, very afraid of actually releasing that book. Several things came to mind. Are people going to, question, what makes me think I can write a book? I did it afraid. I did it anyway. I had to also take into consideration whether someone would question the things that I wrote in my book. Those were fears that I had. But listen, in order to conquer those fears, I had to go ahead and do it anyway. And yeah, I took a risk. It was a risk, and that's the word I think I'm looking for. It was a risk that I had to take, and I took that risk. So I'm encouraging you all, even that person who wanted to give up this morning when Andy posted that thing on Facebook. You wanted to give up. You wanted to say, no, I don't want to do this. Forget it. I'll just go back to being the normal person, doing those regular things that I've always done. I'm telling you now, take the risk.
Take the risk.
Do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
You'll find out in the end that it wasn't as bad as you thought it would be. Okay?
That's right.
It's not as bad. So our second point, follow your heart. Follow your heart.
Listen, follow your heart. Listen, I got a quote from you from Steve Jobs on follow your heart.
Yes.
Listen, everybody know who Steve Jobs is. Matter of fact, you probably looking at us on the Apple phone, Apple product.
Yeah.
Listen, Steve Jobs said this concerning following your heart. The most important of all, have the courage to follow your heart.
Yeah.
Your intuition.
Follow it.
They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Steve Jobs stated this in his commencement speech at Stanford University. Listen, most of all, you know what you're passionate about.
Yes, exactly.
You know what it is
Follow
that God has placed in you. You know what you would innately just do. You know what you would do without getting paid.
Without being paid.
You know what you would do when you put your foot on the floor in the morning, the place you would rather be. Yep, that's the thing that's going to lead you. You got to get the courage to get up and do it.
Exactly.
You know what it is.
Exactly.
Your heart and your mind knows. God has spoken it in your heart. Matter of fact, God ain't speaking in your heart. He innately put it in you when you were born.
Exactly.
When you find your purpose, you're going to find that, listen, my whole life was centered around getting towards this point. This is what God created me for.
Exactly.
Listen, when you find out what God created you for, man, you get excited. You get encouraged to conquer the world. Your courage builds up.
Yeah.
You're able to take on courage because you're doing what's innately within you. So follow your heart.
Follow your heart.
Listen, what's the next one? Because, man, we run out of time.
I know it's 5 minutes to 6. Persevering in the face of adversity.
Wow. Now, that's a big one right there.
Yeah.
To persevere in the face of adversity. And I think I quoted some of this. A hero is no braver than any ordinary man, but he is braver 5 minutes longer. That's all. That's from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, listen, he wrote this back in the 1800s. He said, listen.
It's true then, it's true now.
Listen, everybody that we see as heroes, it is no braver than an ordinary man. But he's braver 5 minutes longer because of a decision that he makes.
It's all about your decision.
A lot of times, it's about the decision to do what it is you feel you have to do in a time of adversity, in a time of danger, in a time of fear, and even in a time of anger.
Exactly.
It's what you decide to do.
It's all a decision.
That's why the Bible said, put on courage.
Right, right.
Take courage. It's something you pick up. It's something you decide.
It's a decision.
God has put free will in all of us. Yes, there's a possibility that you can live your whole life and not be in what the will of God is for your life. That's a miserable thing.
A miserable situation.
Because a lot of people die full. Listen, a lot of people die full because you never went to your purpose and did that thing that you were so purpose of. That's why they say the graveyard.
It's the richest place.
It's the richest place in the world because it's full of dreams that never happen.
Dreams and passions.
It's full of passions that people never walked into. Listen, get up, take courage, walk in your passion.
Exactly.
Don't add to the graveyard richness.
Yeah.
Because those things, even if you did, cannot be dug up because they buried inside
you.
And you're going to find that, man, oh man, if I had just made the decision to try that.
Exactly.
If I'd have made the decision maybe to do something different, just take the courage to try it. The next one there.
Number 4, standing up for what is right.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
The standing up for what is right. That's a part of obedience, dealing with morals and all this type of stuff. You have to stand up for what is right, period. We can't be, a lot of people, we give in to things, knowing that they're not even right for us. Some things we got to choose to do what's right.
Correct.
Some things could be good.
Yeah.
Some things could be right. But is it right for us?
For us. For the individual.
It takes a hero to stand up and be you.
Yes,
Every time you make that decision to be you versus to conform or to act in a manner that does not even bring you any joy or pleasure, and you're just submitting, you're just giving into, you're just sitting back compromising.
Dying.
Take courage.
Take courage, yeah.
Take courage.
Exactly.
And then deal with it. I'm telling you, take courage. It's going to transform your life. Just to be brave and courageous. Listen, I'm telling you, you're strong.
You are.
You're courageous.
And we need you.
And we need what you got.
We need what you have.
What you have, nobody else could do.
Exactly.
Don't worry about how many people doing it. You think I'm concerned about how many people on Facebook Live? No, I'm not. I'm not concerned about that because what God gives to us, he gives to us. What God gives to you, he gives to you.
Yeah.
Be brave, be strong, go out there and be you. It takes courage to be you.
Authentically you.
Authentically you. Let's see if we can get...
We can. Number 5, expanding your horizon.
Listen, expanding your horizon, and I just got to read this quote. Expanding your horizon, letting go of the familiar.
Okay.
A man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore.
Wow.
And that's by Lord Chesterfield.
Chesterfield. Mm-hmm.
Lord
Wow,
Chesterfield says, listen, you ain't going to discover no new oceans if you want to be so secure and keep looking at the shore that you're familiar with.
You have to
you got to launch out
into the deep.
Into what you don't know.
Hi, Sarah.
You got to launch out. You got to get out there and be willing to face something different.
Something different.
Once you leave sight of the shore, man, it takes instinct.
Exactly.
To even get back to shore. Mm-hmm. So it takes courage to launch yourself out past what you know,
but if you
past what's familiar.
Discover new oceans.
But if you want to discover new oceans,
you have to lose sight of the shore.
Man, I'm telling you, you got to pull an anchor up. You can't go.
Good.
You got to pull the anchor up. There's no way you're going to discover new oceans anchored down to that same old shore.
That's right.
That same old familiar people.
You can't
Everything. You can't discover new land. Listen, most of all, you can't discover what God has for you. Being being anchored to old familiar things.
Yeah, that's right.
Pull up that anchor and sell out and try something different.
Yes.
Listen to what God says to you. Mm-hmm. He told Abraham, he said, listen, get up and go to a land I'm going to show you. It took a lot of faith for Abraham to get out and go to a place he didn't even know he was going.
That's right.
Listen.
That was a courageous act.
Listen, she said it. Courage ain't nothing but faith.
That's right. That's right.
Listen, you get courage and you believe that the outcome is going to be for your good.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That's why we act. When we're faced with dangers, when we're faced with issues, when we're faced with things that are unfamiliar to us,
courage
it takes
up
courage to rise with us. The thing I like about it is that when God saw Gideon, shucking wheat in the wine press, hiding in a place that's not even conducive for shucking wheat.
Right.
You ain't got no wind, no nothing coming to separate the chaff from the wheat itself. But because he was fearful, he went to a place that he thought he was hiding in. But I like what God said, and I'm saying that to each and every one of you right now. You mighty men and women of valor, take up courage. You're strong. You can overcome that thing. You can start that business.
You can do it afraid.
You can do whatever you do afraid. You can do what God tells you. You can do it, even if you do it afraid. Just go ahead and do it.
Do it.
I'm telling you, step out and do it and watch what God does.
It's going to blow your mind.
It will blow your mind.
I had no idea that a year later we would be here doing this right now.
But being locked up, being close to familiar because you're afraid to let go of the familiar.
Don't do it.
Leave the familiar and launch out. You can always get back.
You can always come back.
Because those who God connects you to, that are connected to you, are there waiting for you.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you got to take courage. It does not take courage to imitate anybody. That take good acting skills. And we have learned good acting skills. We act like everybody else. We do what everybody else do because that's simple.
It's wax, though.
Get courage. Get what number was that?
We were on number 5. We're at number 6.
Okay, we on number 6.
Facing suffering with dignity or faith.
Wow. Facing suffering with dignity or faith. You say suffering? Yes. It takes courage to go through suffering. See, when you suffer in some things, you have a tendency to hide.
Right.
It takes courage to step out there and say, yeah, I'm going through some things.
I did it.
And things are not going the way I needed to go, and I'm struggling in some areas.
Right.
It takes courage to say that.
Right.
So even in the midst of it, listen, Aristotle said, the ideal man bears the accidents of life with dignity and with grace and makes the best of circumstances. Exactly. Courage would allow you to make the best of whatever circumstance you're in.
Absolutely.
Now, that was Aristotle said that. That was 1,000 years ago when that was said. Listen, and it still stands true today.
Exactly.
That the thing that you're going through, The thing that you're going through is not designed to kill you. Take up courage.
Exactly.
Go through it.
Go through it.
Don't be ashamed because you suffer.
It's shaping you.
When you do, listen, most of us, we suffer for good causes. You see what I'm saying? We make sacrifices for good causes. It's a sacrifice to do what God told you to do.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
It's not easy to do what
not
God
easy
told you to
sometimes.
do. Not always are you going to see the money. Not always are you going to see how to get to the next step. Now, it's not all revealed at one time. Abraham had to learn the land step by step, and he didn't even see the land.
Right.
He never stepped foot in the land that God promised.
But you have to follow the
But
process.
you have to follow the process.
Follow the process.
Guess what? I know it's time to go, but look, listen, what I'm going to tell you is powerful. You ready? You ready? You ready? What God has called you to do might not be for you.
Yeah.
It might be for the next generation. Is that okay?
That's right.
Is you going through what you're going through for good for the next
For the
generation?
next generation. Are you willing?
Are you willing to
Be the
do what God
trailblazer.
told you to do?
Right.
To blaze a trail for the next
somebody
generation.
else.
Hey, listen, guess what? How would it be if it's not about you?
Yep.
Huh? And listen, what are we building dreams for anyway? It's for the next generation. It's for our children. It's for our grandchildren. Lord, please use us to set a foundation for our children.
Yeah.
And forgive us the courage to stand and make a foundation for our children and our grandchildren, even if it's not about us. We got to take courage, because taking courage will lead us to set a foundation for the next generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, we also have to be okay with being fine-tuned.
Oh,
When you get out there and you are courageous enough to do it, okay, you go out there with a certain thing in your mind, and this is how I see it happening. But once we get out there, we have to be okay with God making a tweak and saying, okay, do it this way, or okay, do it that way, or pull back from this because this is no longer profitable for where I want to take you. You have to be okay with those tweaks and
Yeah.
those little things
But-
along the way.
but you know what we told them in the beginning?
What?
We said we was going to tell them why courage is in the middle of process.
Yes.
And we're going to do this because I thank y'all for bearing with
Thank
us
you.
and hanging in there with us. If you had to leave, I understand. Go check this out at the end. But here it is. The reason why courage is in the middle of the word process, after your purpose, after resilience, and after obedience, and then courage. The reason why courage is there because the next one is endurance.
Endurance.
It takes courage to endure
Endure.
what you know.
Exactly.
God, see, you've already got your purpose. You've already found out why you
good.
bounced through some things.
Right.
You found out why you were resilient in some
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And then you found out why you had to obey in some things.
Right.
Now it takes courage to get to the next
Next
one,
one.
because the next one is endurance.
Gotta hang in there.
How are you going to endure without courage?
That's right.
Huh? People give up. People shoot themselves in the head because they lack the courage to endure.
Consistency.
So right
Just
after,
keep doing it.
yeah, right after you obedient
You become
and you get your courage up,
Yeah.
then you deal with your endurance. Your endurance is
Yeah.
going to bring you around to your strength, or is it stretching?
stretching.
To your stretching. Once you endure some things, you're going to find out how much
How
you've been
much you-
stretched.
exactly.
And then we're going to wind up being strengthened after you have suffered
After
for a
you've suffered a
while.
while.
God shall,
Yes, He will.
and He will strengthen
establish
you.
you and
He will
strengthen you.
establish
Yes.
you. He will make you mount up on wings as an eagle. When you run and you get tired,
Yeah.
He'll be your strength.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell y'all, take courage.
This is good.
I'm loving it.
This
Take
is
courage.
good. This is good.
That's exciting for me. So
Yeah.
I know we went way over time.
We're not too bad. We're on 8
We,
minutes.
we
Thank
went
y'all.
way over time.
Thank
so
y'all for hanging out with us.
so it's my heart just to get the message
Yeah.
to you and to whoever it was that was about to give up. I need to tell you, do not
Do not give up.
give up.
You're right on the precipice.
Yeah,
Right on the edge. You're closer than
check
you
this
think.
out. You got your purpose.
Yeah.
You're resilient. You've already resisted that tried to deform you.
Yeah.
Listen, you've been obedient. You've been
obedient.
listening. You've been obeying, trying to find your path. Now it's your job.
Just take courage.
Huh? I didn't say God will give you courage, because it says take courage, put on courage, be of good courage.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh? So now it's your job. Right in the middle of your process, you got to do something now. Huh? You got to be strong. You
Yeah.
got to take
Yeah.
up courage.
Amen.
You got to put on courage.
Yeah.
Whatever God's called you to do, whatever your
And
purpose
you can
is,
do it.
put it
You
on.
can do it.
Take it up.
Right.
Do what you need to do.
Exactly. We believe in you.
Girl, you better stop me. I'm excited.
You know what?
I'm excited. I want to
This is
thank
good
y'all.
stuff. This is really good stuff. Thank you. You want to thank them?
I want to thank everybody for taking the time to
Yeah.
allow us to even speak to you on this. I hope this helped you.
Yeah. it's
And
not
whoever it is that God was speaking to at this time and for this particular thing, I want to tell you that God sees you.
Exactly.
God sees you. He
Sees
sees you. And he says, take
courage. Take courage.
Go ahead.
And most of y'all who are on here right now know me personally. And you know that this is not something that you would have thought you would see me doing a year ago. And here I am. I took courage. It had to take courage to jump out into this lane and to be consistent. And that's the thing. You have to be consistent in whatever it is that God is calling you to do. Even when you feel like not doing it. Even when you feel like you want to give up and just say, okay, I'm done. It takes courage to remain
Yes, sir.
consistent. And so let my life be an example to you. Exhibit A. I'm Exhibit A. That if you remain consistent and before you know it, you are in your lane and swimming in your
And
lane.
know that God sees you.
Know that God sees
He had you tuned in today.
Exactly.
It wasn't for a reason, just even if you thought it was curiosity.
Yeah.
It was to say that you're on the right path.
On the right path.
All you got to do now
Stay the
is
course.
take courage because you're sitting waiting for God to do something.
Yeah.
And God say you're right in the middle of the process. In the middle of the
In the middle of the
process is
process.
where you do the thing.
Yes.
Okay, it's your turn. God
Right.
said, I've been working. I done
Take
sent
courage.
you purpose.
Right.
I done held you up in resisting things that was going to deform you, that was going to cripple you.
Yes.
You've been obedient. You listened, and you're wondering why it stopped now. The reason why it stopped now is because it's your turn.
Your turn.
Take courage.
Uh.
Be of good cheer.
Yes.
And God is with
Exactly.
you. He will
Exactly.
exalt you. He
Trust
will
the
do
process.
what's necessary.
Exactly.
Trust the process.
You're on your way somewhere.
You're
on your way.
Not only are you on your way, you halfway through
You're
it.
halfway through it.
You are halfway through
you
to
are
your
further
full
along.
strength
Exactly.
and your purpose.
Exactly.
Halfway through. Keep on going. Don't give up now.
Keep going.
Don't give up now.
Stay
It
the
would be a
course.
shame.
It would be a shame.
And I need
Yeah.
to tell you this, that the devil would rather bury
Oh my God.
the purpose at this point, because a lot of us get to this point
And stop.
we stop because
We
we're
give up.
waiting on God. And he has given us everything concerning life and concerning godliness to push us to our end.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, take up courage. Don't wait for somebody to give it to you. Get on your knees and say, God, strengthen me to put on the courage that I need to put
Already
on
provided.
so I can move into my purpose that you've called me for. And listen, I guarantee you, by this time next week, if you bear up and take on the courage, God's going to do some things to blow your mind because he wants to prove to you. That's why I say you right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
He said, listen, you done seen what I did for you already.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
In the first part of this process,
Purpose,
you in the middle of this
resilience,
process.
obedience.
Now it's your turn. Take up the courage. And guess what?
I can stretch you.
God says he will help you to endure.
Yeah.
He didn't say you had to take up endurance. He will help you to
will help
endure.
you endure.
He said, put on courage and I'll strengthen you.
Ooh, this is good.
And I will help
I
you
will help you.
to get to your next
Your
point.
next place.
I'm going to stretch you.
You will get to your next.
I'm going to stretch you,
Yeah.
but I'm going to help you.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Oh,
girl,
this has
'cause
been wonderful. This has been absolutely wonderful, and I thank everyone who has been on live with us. Thank you.
Thank
We are 13 minutes over our time now. Thank you so much. We don't take for granted that you have given us, your 30, 40 minutes, 45 minutes almost. You've given us this time. Thank you so much, and we pray that something that we've said tonight has helped you and will be an encouragement to you. That is why we're here. That's why we share.
And listen, let's do this real quick.
Let's do it.
Because we only did it one other time
Let's
on
do
here.
it.
Father, listen, in the name of
In the name
Jesus,
of
I
Jesus.
thank you.
Thank you, Father.
For whomever it is,
Yes.
Father, that was about to give up. I pray that you strengthen
pray
them.
for them right now,
Speak
God.
to them right now in the course of this week and in
Yes,
their
Lord.
minds,
Yes.
God. and in their heart, whatever it is.
Strengthen them, Father.
You're not just about the things that you called them to do for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
about
yeah.
strengthening them in their business.
In their
You're
business.
about making them examples in the fields that you placed them in,
Yes,
and the
God.
purpose that you've given to them, Father. Right now, I pray that you would strengthen them and that you would keep them and help them to put on the courage that you've already
is
instilled
necessary.
inside of them, Father.
Yeah.
In the name of Jesus.
Thank you.
Listen, go out
Thank
and
you.
do
Thank you. Go
what
out and
God
do.
said do.
What God said do. Listen, guys, thanks again. And as I always close out by saying, make this your season to live out your reason. Be authentically you. We love you all, and
Love
we will
you.
chat with you again next week. We're going to continue the acrostic for process. Next week, we're going to be talking about endurance.
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 Wow.
We'll see you then.
Yes.
Bye-bye.